Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session of the Calm Over Cancer Summit. Today's session is a special one to me because I'm not just introducing a guest, I am introducing my co-host and very good friend, Treena Wynes. Treena is a registered social worker, BSW, an award-winning author, speaker, and workshop facilitator with more than 25 years of experience in social work and trauma-informed leadership. She's dedicated her career to helping individuals and organizations navigate change, build resilience, and strengthen emotional well-being. Treena's work became deeply personal when her husband, Ken, was diagnosed with prostate cancer and, within 5 years, has experienced 3 recurrences. Walking beside Ken through these challenges gave Treena a profound understanding of how trauma, fear, and uncertainty affect not only the body, but also the mind and the spirit. Last October, Treena and I attended a cancer conference together in Toronto. By the end of that event, we looked at each other and said, we need to do something to elevate voices, unite expertise, and create clarity and calm in a world that often feels chaotic for those facing cancer. And that is how this summit was born. Treena, welcome. I'm so honored to be here with you today.
Well, thank you, Adele, and I'm certainly honored to be here as well. And thank you so much for taking this huge undertaking and getting this summit going.
Treena, what was it about that conference and those conversations that made you feel such an urgency to do something?
Because just being in that atmosphere and hearing about cancer, especially experiencing cancer, through my husband, it really meant a lot for me. But what I learned from that conference was that collective voice, just how crucial it is for cancer care, especially around policy changes, improvement in research and treatment, well, improvement in outcomes, in general, but also how it fosters support and awareness. And that a united voice is louder. And I wanted to bring my voice to be part of that as well.
Thank you, Treena. You've been guiding others through trauma and transformation. This time it was personal. What shifted in you when cancer entered your home?
Well, first of all, what made it more difficult was that I was working 2 provinces away. So I had a contract that where I had to be very far from my home and my family. But when Ken had first told me I was home for Christmas, and it wasn't until after Christmas that he said to me, I have to tell you something. I have cancer. And it was shocking, or sorry, I might have cancer, and that a biopsy is booked. And I was like, when did this happen? Like, there was no suspicion, there was no talk about it, there was no nothing. And he was telling me, some of the symptoms that he was experiencing, and that his doctor had pushed for a biopsy. And at first, her requests were declined, but she kept pushing. And, thankfully, she's kind of a tough nut and doesn't take no for an answer when she thinks there's something there. I went back to work after Christmas, and the biopsy was scheduled in January. And I was in the middle of a meeting when my phone rang, and my husband knew I was in a meeting. So when it rang, I knew I needed to answer that. So I stepped outside and yeah, he broke down and said, it's cancer. And it was shocking that he found out so quickly. And it was hard because I wasn't there. And, tell him it's going to be okay. This was new to me too. I've never been through something like this before. I said, look, you're young, but maybe that's an advantage. You're healthy, you're young. There was an early diagnosis because of his doctor. You got some things going in your favor here. I didn't really know what was coming ahead either. So thankfully, knowing you're a cancer coach and the work that, you do, you attended his first oncology appointment for him because I couldn't be there. And it meant so much to me. I mean, having somebody like you was so beneficial because you've heard this and you've been in those doctor's office many, many times and you knew exactly what to do. So, do you want to just give a little bit of, what happened there?
Sure, I can. Well, my initial response was, seriously, does Ken want me to go with him? Because, who knows? But he did. And so we went together. I was there to listen. And one of the first things that I did, I think that was really empowering for both of you, was ask the doctor if we could record the conversation on my telephone. And the oncologist that we saw, or the urologist that Ken was seeing, was fantastic. And so that's what we did. We recorded that conversation, and then I came home, got it downloaded, got you a link, and you could listen to everything without missing a beat. I know that you've accounted to me how meaningful that was.
And I just want to say it truly was. It meant a lot. And I can say from my own personal experience how vital that support is for people. Support is everything, and you were able to provide that. Yeah, so around that time, so after, the diagnosis, and it was for sure cancer, prostate cancer, well, 3 or 4 weeks later, all of a sudden the world shut down because it was during COVID. So there was a
Right.
lockdown. So it's funny because Ken, my husband, is a bit of a comedian. And he goes, of course that would happen. Of course that would happen to me where I get cancer. And also the world is on, I'm out for lunch, for
Yeah.
indefinitely. We have no idea. So that was very difficult to navigate during that time. I guess, people have their own COVID story, and there's a lot of trauma and loss during those COVID times, and it amplified the trauma, quite honestly, going through that. But thankfully, there are alternative treatments out there, and there happened to be a part of the world that opened up, and we were able to fly there to a prostate cancer center, and he received treatment.
I think that was one of the complications, if we will, from, the COVID period. First of all, you couldn't take a spouse or anyone with you into your appointments, which was adding to the roller coaster of being calm one day and terrified the next. And Ken was followed through all of this too, once he returned home. It's interesting how we make decisions, isn't it? And, when life presents a situation. Can you explain to our audience what happens in the body when someone lives in a constant state of alert?
Yeah, so I have trauma-informed leadership workshops. And I guess my subtitle is Building Trust, Safety, and Support. Now, with trauma, what you're looking for really is a sense of safety because your nervous system is dysregulated. Trauma impacts your decisions, in your behavior, in your way of thinking, without even your knowledge. You have sometimes no idea until something may trigger you, and then you may respond in a way that, is outside of you. So with cancer, it is a trauma because you are dysregulated. It's a perceived threat. It's not even a perceived threat, it's a threat. There's a danger there. So with our body, our makeup is we are meant to stay alive, to survive. And so we have mechanisms in place that look around and always detecting threats and danger. And cancer diagnosis certainly is a threat and a danger. With that, all kinds of things start happening in your body. All systems get activated. And generally, when you have to deal with a threat or a danger, you always hear about the fight, flight, and freeze. Well, it's the same sort of thing when you hear about cancer. How it's supposed to work is that you are alerted of a danger. So you need to react, you need to respond. And then after you have done that and it's been dealt with, then you recover. There's a recovery period. But with cancer, the unfortunate thing is that there's long waiting lists, there's uncertainty there. So you're basically marinating in a stress hormone. And that is hard on the body, it's hard on the brain. And so there is no trust, there is no safety. You don't feel safe because the threat and the danger is still there. And the support, you need support. Some people may not reach out for that support when actually they need that.
And so, what does it mean then to find safety in your own body when it's that body that feels like it betrayed you?
So, one of the things that I would hear Ken say, I wouldn't say on a regular basis, but from time to time, that his body has failed him, his body's against him, his body is sick, speaking to his body in a negative way. And so what I would try to do is sort of interject and say, well, actually, our body is meant to heal. When we sleep, we heal. When we rest, we heal. That's you get a cut, you heal. Like we're built to heal. So this is no different. Cancer is no different. There's a foreign thing that's happening in your body, and I'm sure your body is doing everything it can to heal. Now, do we give it everything it needs? Probably not. We probably do things that make it harder to heal. We may not sleep properly, get enough sleep. We may eat the wrong foods. We may just even talk negatively to ourselves and feel that everything's against us. And all that does is just cause more stress. And when your stress is up, your immunity is down. Your immune system is not as robust as it should be because you have all this stress. You need to be kind to your body and speak kind to your body. Talk about wellness, talk about I'll help you. I'll give you what you need. I'm thinking of you. I know you're working for me, not against me.
Oh, very empowering words, Treena. Yes. And so, for someone that's watching who might feel frozen or numb, is there any small, doable way that someone could begin to help calm the nervous system?
Yes, there are many things you can do. And when I work with people with trauma or just they don't feel safe, just safe in general, whether it's at the workplace or with their life circumstances. I'm not saying safe where, somebody's going to break in their house, but you don't feel that sense of safety. We all have those safe places, those places that give us peace, that just fill our cup. Just find those places. Also find your safe people. Those people
Right.
that don't judge you, those people that, just maybe don't even say anything, but just kind of, rub you on your back, just are just there, just listening. They don't have to say anything. Just those safe people that you can just be vulnerable with. Because that's the thing. Right now, you're feeling vulnerable, and that's okay. So find your people and be vulnerable.
That's very good advice. Find your people, be vulnerable, know that you don't have to have all of the solutions within yourself, right?
Yes.
I know you shared find your safe place, and for a lot of people, I know some of the work that you've done to empower them is also visioning work. If you don't have a physical safe place, then whether it's imagining from your childhood a lake or a river or a park or wherever it is, visioning can also help you to bring yourself back into a state of calm.
I wanted to add one thing about that visioning is because really your makeup doesn't really know the difference of whether you're there or you're meditating and you're in that place in your mind.
That's a really interesting and great point. Ah, thank you for that. Your body doesn't know that the vision is in your mind. It doesn't have the ability to discern. What's important is your mind knows where you are.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I think that's interesting. And so both you and your husband are social workers, which is also very interesting. Coming from that background, how did you navigate the emotional toll together?
Well, there was a couple things that I did. And one of them was to take more load of the stress of the household onto myself. And fortunately, I was in a good space where I'm able to do that. Some people aren't, but I didn't want him to be in a high stress sort of state all the time. He already was. Another thing was we communicate very well together, is we agreed that because of the cancer diagnosis doesn't mean that you still can't experience joy in life and laughter and some good times. And so thankfully, we're both extroverts because if one was an introvert, I don't know if that worked quite so well. But we're social, and so we are among people because that's what raises our energy, our vibration. And so we would be around people that made us laugh, that gave us that good energy that filled our cup, but also even with each other. Just him and I just be silly because laughter really is the best medicine. It's a great medicine.
Thank you for that. You often talk about blending science, spirituality, and compassion in your work. How do those three pieces come together in the healing process?
Well, I see when in speaking about science, I guess I think about the research on cancer. So, the new advances in cancer research and medication and treatment. So there's that piece. And then the spirituality is it's not religion. It is about knowing that there's something bigger than yourself because we all want meaning and purpose. We always say, why me? Or why am I here? Or why me for cancer? And we don't know, but maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's a reason bigger outside of us. When I talk about filling your cup, I feel that spirituality does that. And it lowers your stress. It increases your immunity and helps, your immune system fight and be stronger. So why wouldn't you have spirituality part of that? And then this sort of the third one was compassion. You have to have compassion for yourself and for others. Some people may say, I'm holding this energy that I know is heavy. And if you think about that, well, what's that about? Well, it's that that person slighted me, or this other person betrayed me, whatever it is. And we hold some of those things inside of us. And compassion is also a release. It's not only compassion to yourself, having self-compassion and being kind, because we are hard on ourselves. We are so hard of ourselves. There's a lot of misery involved in how mean we can be to ourselves and the things we say to ourselves. So there should be a release of those negative energies.
Thank you. There was one other thing that you did, you know, through COVID and after Ken's diagnosis, and that was some dogs. You adopted an amazing little group of dogs. And when I say little group, it started with one.
Yeah.
During COVID, There were so many dogs that got displaced. You now have 3 dogs, so that brings you out into nature and gives you lots of joy.
Yes. And I joke about it. I say, I think that was our trauma response. We ended up with 3 dogs. Yeah, but in the end, they provide so much joy. I mean, anybody who's a dog owner, you see your dog do something silly and you're laughing your head off. I mean, that happens 10 times a day. Also, too, they're selfless. All they want to do is be around you and love you. So, like, who doesn't like that? And also, too, they do involve physical exercise because they need to be walked. And lucky for us is that we are close to nature.
Thank you for sharing that with us. So, Treena, for someone who's watching today that may be newly diagnosed, what do you think, from your wisdom, your experience, you might share with them a couple of simple ways that they can bring joy or calm back into their life? And I know you've mentioned a few, but even in these conversations, it doesn't hurt for us to repeat a couple things.
Yes, and if there is, think about a moment or times or activities, even activities, things that you do where you lose all track of time. Because we have those things. Like one of the things that I do is I like to craft and paint or write. I'm also a writer 4 or 5 hours and it's gone like that. Or when you are with friends, and all of a sudden it's 3 hours and you're like, oh my goodness, I got to get home. I didn't realize the time. It is those things that you need to do more of because you're lost in everything else. You're present in that moment so much so that you've lost all track of time.
Thank you for sharing that. Can you tell us how that support system helps you as a caregiver? Just, how does the caregiver tap into something that helps to fulfill themselves through all of those pieces? Who's got your back?
Yes, yes.
That's what I want to
Right.
know.
And so the thing is with the caregiver, maybe I should just speak for myself. I felt that I needed to be the strong one all the time, every single second, every day, because to help him be more confident. There's nothing to fear here. We're good. And after a while, you can hold that for a while, but you also need to release that yourself.
Yeah.
So again, it is finding your people that you feel safe with, that you can release that. You can cry, you can be angry, whatever it is, frustrated, and not feel bad about that. Don't feel guilty, you're human. You just need to vent, release it, and then, you're okay tomorrow. And the
Go ahead.
support with the friends like yourself, I have a good group of friends, and I don't feel bad for calling somebody to say, hey, you want to do a coffee? I don't feel bad for that because actually my other friend says, yeah, I haven't seen you for a while. Let's do a coffee. And not thinking you're going to be a burden to somebody because they're probably just happy to see you. Exactly.
Yeah. Treena, I want to thank you. Your reminder is powerful when you find safety in your own body, when you connect with faith or meaning and allow hope back in. That's when true healing happens or begins. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your heart, and your lived experience. It's really incredible to think that what started really a year ago as a conversation over a cocktail after a cancer conference turned into this. Thank
Exactly.
you.
Thank you. I know isn't it something? It's
Yeah.
just sometimes life just works that way. And I want to say that sometimes with cancer, it does maybe throw on you on a different path. It may open your eyes to things you haven't seen before, and now you appreciate them more and you're more grateful for. It may be where you connect with other people, and through that, maybe some other activities you now have joined. There are small gifts, even through really intensely scary moments, with cancer, if you look for them, maybe you'll see them.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for being the beautiful human that you are.
Well, thank you. And back at you.